block this call and all future calls, press 7. To reject this call, hang up. You may begin speaking now.
Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Listen, before I get started, a couple things I want to say. Somebody brought something to my attention about a specific date in reference to the Scarfo Persico video I made, and I'm going to check on that, by the way. I got that, like I said, secondhand info when I put something like that out. But, you know, when something like that is put out, the way I actually look at it or even think about it is that is part of mob history, okay? So even something that's unfavorable like that to Carmine, who everybody knows how I felt about him, the relationship I had with him, you know, for 3.5 years. And for those of you that don't know, I was with Carmine Persico, head of the Colombo family for years, just like a father to me. But when I put something out about that, to me, that's part of like mob history. It is. And I'm going to go back and make sure and check a date on that. Also, I need to make really clear about something. When it comes to YouTube, I'm not trying to make friends or enemies at all. And I can care less one way or the other when it comes to YouTube, people on YouTube. It's not like I go out of my way or I do any content to try to get involved with the group or try to be part of something. I don't. I can care less. Having said that, I've met some good people on YouTube, and even people that start off like with terrible enemies, mortal enemies. I can think of Johnny Mac, who, by the way, I don't know why you would answer your phone, dude. I've tried to call here. I'm going to try to call next couple days. But I end up being friends with this is what I'm trying to say. But I can care less. Okay, I just want to make that clear, and I don't say that one way or the other. I'm just indifferent about it. Okay, here's what's up. I got to bring up to my day today. First of all, my friend Eric Eminem did 18 years at Beaumont. I don't know too many people who's stayed in Beaumont in one place for 18 years. If anybody knows anything about the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they know a spot they call Bloody Beaumont down in Texas. Rough spot. Has its day. Every prison has its day. Big Sandy has its day. Rough one that rough for so many years, and it's kind of like cakewalk for a while, whatever. Lewisburg to me was the softest frickin' USP I've ever been in for a number of years, and then it was on and popping. But anyway, this guy did 18 years in Beaumont. He's here for colon cancer, and they give people different shots here. He took the shingles shot here last month. Now, what you're supposed to do when you do that is you're supposed to have one, to wait 6 months and get the other. Well, they gave him one, and then today came back and gave him another one. And I laughed because it's like he didn't think to ask. Later, somebody brought it up, and it was funny because we went back and told the PA, hey, listen, you just gave him a shot. And it's like, I don't know. Like, no, that wasn't supposed to happen, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. And it just kind of shows you maybe it's that dark humor bullshit again I was talking about. Anyway, here's what I really want to talk about is today a friend of mine who is elderly had his family member make some complaints about him and another staff member. I cannot get into this, and I will not get into this now. I will get into it when I get out. Long story short, here comes somebody from Washington, D.C., Office of the Inspector General. Okay. They come down to talk to him. Not to see if it's serious or not, whatever. I'm not going to say one way or the other whether it is or not. It's not my business. However, I got dragged into this. Not intentionally, I can see from his part, but whatever. Here I am, going to check on him. He's in a wheelchair, by the way. And I go get him. He's been there for a little while, talking. And they look at me. I think it was the associate warden. Points and says, Rosso, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, the YouTube guy, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, come here. So he called me in. Here's some people. They clear out. Here's one guy. Introduces himself. I got his name, and I'm going to talk about him in the future. By the way, hopefully he's listening. He hasn't heard about my channel. He is, and I told him I would be talking about it today. So, hi. Anyway, first thing I said was, I'm not comfortable being here talking to staff. I don't talk or cooperate with staff for any reason. I'm not going to give a statement. That's my first words.
This call is from a federal prison.
Told me why I was there. Asked if he could ask me. He named the two different questions. Pretty basic stuff. And I went on to asking him about other issues. Really did change the subject on him. And let him know that I was short. Let him know that I wanted to ask a couple questions. Let him know I had this channel. And let him know I was going to ask questions for some certain reasons. And that is, I told him what happened to the Bureau of Prisons. I mean, I asked him. That was my question. I watched this place deteriorate. And he said point blank, COVID. After COVID, nobody wants to go to work. They cannot get staffed. Prisons across the United States, all the federal prisons cannot. They're all understaffed, and they cannot fill up. They cannot meet their quotas when it comes to staff. And they're still struggling, if not worse this year than last. I brought up this prison called Thompson. Thompson was one of Obama's babies. This was built as a state prison, Thompson, Illinois. They ended up filling it up with gang members, putting them in the special housing unit. It was at Lewisburg for a while. That's the SMOO program. And then they moved it to Thompson. Thompson, he said, is in the middle of nowhere. I've never been there. I have friends that were there. That it was a little, it was on and popping. It was rocking inside of there. Anytime you have people that are segregated, even in the regular special housing units, it's live inside of them. All you have to do inside the hole, that's the hole basically, or the shoe. The only thing you have to do is plot, plan, and scheme. And if you use substance, you scheme on doing drugs, you scheme on violence if you're part of gangs, you scheme on settling scores, you scheme on getting drunk. That's what I did. It's actually a blast. I talked about it on the History Channel. I don't know if it made the cut, but I talked about it. Anyway, he talked about how Thompson is a failure, and they had to move. They had to dismantle that. Basically, it's not locked down anymore. I think it's going off. The line. Meanwhile, by the way, they're still trying to build new federal bureau prisons. Instead of trying to fill those up, they want to build new ones in Kentucky and all these other places, which is total bullshit. But I asked him, I said, look, when I was in the feds back in the 90s, there was basically two white prison gangs, the Dirty Wise Boys, which I was a part of and faded away from, and the ABs. Now there's over 20. And I believe he said over 30, actually, if they want to do a count. And what do you do about them? How did they get there? And they said, in a nutshell, I'm not going to quote him. I did do some quotes, ran back to myself. Not against them. Let me repeat that. He wasn't against gangs. So gangs are going to be gangs. There's going to be gangs. And he wasn't against shot callers, inmates or convicts or prisoners policing ourselves. Now, it shouldn't surprise me because it's part of like peniology, is that what it's called? When you go back and start reading prison stuff, the staff kind of wants to keep everybody against each other instead of prisoners coming together and trying to figure out ways to better themselves in prison or better their conditions or better their programming. We stay at each other's throat. It was really surprising to me when he said this. Let me call back on this because I got to finish this up because it went into an issue about K2. That's synthetic marijuana. All right, so this is the part two. I just called back. Anyway, by the way, I didn't say today's date. It's December the 4th. Yeah, so what do I have? 53 and a wake up? Today, when they called me into the office, when I saw that suit, the associate warden, I actually thought the case manager was calling me in to give me a halfway house. But I honestly, it's to the point. I've kind of marked it in my head December the 10th. If they don't tell me by December the 10th, which is just a couple days away, I'm going to tell them to go in there and cancel it so they don't one day say, hey, do you want to go to the halfway house? It's to the point where it's really not worth it anyway. And this time it is flying by. Okay, so what I was saying is, when I was talking to the OIG guy, or when we had the little conversation, one of the things was, okay, the issue was about one of the staff members here. Oh, fuck it. It was about the captain. This guy and him got the captain. Okay, so the only complaint that I have with any of the upper staff here, or anybody, and the captain, who I actually like here, is that, and this goes across the board. I've known this captain since I was at Terre Haute as well. Okay, is that when somebody has an episode on K2, they lock everybody down. They kind of do a corporal punishment. So if I, for example, let's say I smoke K2 and I have an episode. If you don't know what that is, an epi, or what K2, or what having an episode is, I please go Google it. You can see what the fuck happens. It's disgusting. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I would trust a crackhead over somebody who smokes K2 any day. I have struggled with substance abuse all my life, and I cannot understand what the deal with the K2 stuff is. Anyway, when we were talking about it, he said that he found it justified that that would happen, meaning it was justified that the warden or AW or captain would make a call to lock everybody down if somebody's having an episode on K2. And he said that the reason is because if the shot callers aren't going to deal with it, then somebody has to. Now, think about that statement for a second. If the shot callers won't deal with it, that goes to show you guys how much power that people, heads of gangs, white reps, black reps of units, that's representatives of units, brown reps, whatever, how much power they have, and how much power that executive staff gives to them, or should I say, because I've been a part of it for so long, us. Is that right? I'm not saying it is or no. Back in the day, back in Arkansas Department of Corrections, they used to have the inmates used to run around with guns. Was that good? They had that much power. They were turnkeys. They were putting people in cells. Texas too. They stopped that. They don't use that same kind of thing.
This call is from a federal prison.
Not only do they allow, I'm not saying this all wrong, actually. Not only do they allow it, but they expect us to police ourselves, which I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm saying it's factual. But at the same time, when you have somebody who's self-serving or in a position of power, which is self-serving, that could be dangerous to others. But they fully expect us to go in there, find out who's bringing in K2, and not even tell them, not get them busted, but to handle it ourselves, a.k.a. beat the fuck out of who's ever doing it. That's expected. That's what they hope for, because they can't deal with it because it's such a big problem. I just find it fascinating. I'm not even for or against that method. I'm just saying I really, really, really struggle with the whole incarceration deal. Sometimes I sit there and look around me, and I look in these cells, and I look and I see people with 7 pillows. In these hospital cells, I can say that some people would absolutely flip the fuck out. However, these guys are dying, so nobody really cares. Should anybody care if somebody has 7 pillows or a big thick mattress and a fluffy blanket? Should anybody care out there? If you care about that out there, you're an idiot. You should care about bigger issues. Okay, a lot bigger things to care about. But I do struggle with what should be going on inside prisons. I struggle with programs. What kind of effective program should be implemented, or should be allowed to take, or they should be pushing, whatever, you know. And I guess I'm going to do a little bit more on this tomorrow, the next day, you know. And you know where this comes from? I'm reading Grapes of Wrath again. Said I wasn't going to read any more books because I was trying to write my own, trying to finish that. I just can't fucking write. I can write legal stuff. Been busting out some legal stuff, but for some people, but I can't do anything of my own. And I guess before I end this, everybody stop for a second. Go back to when I first came in here, all the way back to February. All the way back till February the 12th, and look at the audio that I put up. Go in the comment section, if you will, on the night of February the 12th, when I was in the Washington County Detention Center, and go in the comment section and go look at all the haters and who were talking shit about me for what happened. for when the staff came to me. I refused to go to court on my own free will, and I made them drag me, carry me. Look at all the people who talk cash shit, said I deserved it, said I created the big problem. Look at all those people. Laugh at them. That's all I'm going to say. Laugh at every fucking one of them. Laugh at them. That's all I'm going to say. I'll talk about it if I can. If I can't, unless I sign the non-disclosure. There's going to come a point here very shortly. Anyway, we'll still go through that. There's a couple different litigation issues but I just want to finish this, and I wrote this down a little while ago. People who are, what did I write? I'm laughing. I'm looking at a friend right now. Anyway, what was the quote? What was my quote? People who are relevant create content. People trying to be, that's what I wrote. People who are relevant create content. People trying to be relevant spend way too much time critiquing others, making them irrelevant. That's my thought that I'll leave you with for the day. Take care, and remember, I will be out very soon, and can't wait. Take care. Thanks for your support. Go to the top of the page, homepage. Go check out the stuff, merchandise. Even go check out the Don't Be a Jimmy t-shirts. I should probably do Don't Be a Gotti t-shirt. I'm going to look into the dates about the Persco thing. Yeah, Don't Be a Gotti. And I should just have somebody, maybe a t-shirt of him, like somebody in a jail cell just talking with microphones all over. Goodbye.